Hi everyone, it's Dr. Hudgens. I have graded your Typhon logs as well as your discussion board and posted feedback for you. Let's talk a minute about your Typhon logs. The feedback that is available for you is actually in Typhon. Your grade is in the Blackboard gradebook, but the detailed feedback is in the Typhon log. So make sure you go back to that log and take a look at the feedback that's provided. The time log and the practicum log are the two components that have to be evaluated to give you a grade. If you had issues with your time log and you needed corrections, know that that needs to be done prior to you submitting your practicum log number 2. It's going to be important that your running time log is accurate. This is how you'll know when you finish 620 that you've accomplished your 200 clinical hours that you need to complete. So it is so important that you reconcile. First, make sure your time log's correct, and then make sure that you have a practicum entry for each of the days that is on your time log. So go back in and read that feedback and make sure you've made those corrections appropriately. Generally, you guys did a great job, especially for your first practicum logs for the course. One of the areas that I've noticed that students struggle with is providing self-reflection. So much you want to tell about the logistics of what happened during your practicum setting, but what you're asked to do in self-reflecting is to think about the meaning of those experiences and how you felt about it. What were your aha moments? What were the things that while you were sitting there listening to people talking or watching students, you thought, oh wow, that's what that means? Or things that surprised you. Maybe you overheard a conversation between two teacher colleagues that wasn't polite or wasn't respectful. What were your thoughts about that? That self-reflection is where the rubber hits the road. When we have our own aha moments, our own pearls of wisdom, those are the things we carry with us. Those are the things that we find meaning in. So it's important for you to include that in the supportive narrative section of your paper. So make sure that you're doing that. The other thing that is often overlooked is addressing prior learning in your application section. A lot of students don't know what that means. The basic idea behind demonstrating prior learning is that as you're talking about what you're experiencing in the practicum setting and your goals and objectives and how they align with the NLN core competencies, you're talking about them in context of things you have learned that are relevant to your practice. So let's say you were in the clinical setting and you were in the practicum setting and you were in a classroom and you were shadowing your preceptor who was teaching the class, and you noticed that while your preceptor was teaching, she only used a lecture style format. One of the things that you've learned either in Nursing 600 or 618 is the importance of a varied strategy approach. That section would be an appropriate time of being able to say that while you were practicing the core competency related to facilitating learning by shadowing, you noticed that you had that your preceptor wasn't using multiple teaching strategies to access multiple domains of learning, and that you were through prior experience in other courses, you were aware how important that is. Maybe add a little bit about why you think it's important. That's all it is. It's a couple of sentences, but it's basically a connect the dots to this is what I'm experiencing now, and this is how I know it's relevant based on prior experiences that I've had through my academic or preceptorship exposure. So, as you move forward, you're going to be polishing as you go, so these are just some tidbits to add to that. I think that's it with the practicum logs. Let's switch real quick to your discussion boards. I secretly was really excited to see your thoughts and to find out what articles you found related to incivility. This was an assignment I created over the summer and early fall, and I did it because it's so often not discussed for faculty members. A couple of months ago, it was probably last fall, I had a student sitting in class, and I am a fantastic lecturer, but he was laughing and smiling at times that I was not being humorous. And after one class, I pulled him aside after outside of the hallway, and I said, I noticed that you seem to be a lot more entertained than I actually am. Tell me what's going on in front of you on your laptop. And he kind of blushed and he said, well, I don't really get a lot out of lectures, so sometimes I go online and I look at videos and stuff too so that I can kind of stay awake. And I said, well, what's important here is that we find a way to make lecture and time in class meaningful for you. So let's talk about a way that you can tell me how you learn best and how I can do things different in class so that you can stay engaged. And I explained to him, I said, it's disruptive for your peers behind you to see what you're doing. And it's really distracting for me while I'm standing in front of your peers to notice that you're so obviously distracted and not paying attention, and explained to him that it was disrespectful. From very early on in the class, I addressed a concern. He responded and actually became more engaged throughout the course. I don't think he was totally thrilled with the course, but he survived it and he stopped watching YouTube videos. Game, set, match. Problem solved. I was so excited to see your insights with the topic of incivility in your discussion boards. I try each week to kind of look for exemplars of things that were really well done, and there were so many things that you guys wrote that was just so highly relevant. But I had to stop, picking and choosing, so I picked two. Your classmate Nancy wrote, incivility includes undesirable behavior, such as being rude, disrespectful, bullying, or trying to intimidate others. Incivility undermines morale, interpersonal relationships, and ultimately for nurses can influence the quality of patient care. Teaching nursing students to be respectful and how to address these behaviors can transverse into nursing practice. Addressing these incivilities is an ongoing challenge to education in all settings. These disruptive behaviors can interfere with the successful teaching and the success of other students, and therefore cannot be ignored. I thought that was a great way to really encapsulate the importance of this concept and how important it is that we deal with it proactively. Jennifer, your classmate, did a fantastic job connecting the biblical worldview in this when she wrote that two scriptures come to mind when discussing the educator role in classroom conduct. Psalms 32 verse 8 states, I will instruct you and teach you in the way which you should go. I will counsel you with my eyes upon you. The indications for the nurse educator implies that the educators be cognizant of their students' emotional state and provide counsel if need be. This contributes to effective interpersonal communication and can deter misconduct. Another verse is Ephesians 6 verse 4. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. As educators, the provoking can occur without proper preparation, knowledge, respect, or lack of communication skills with the students. Incivility can occur secondary to faculty behavior. Therefore, evaluating self and conducting appropriate behavior as an educator forms a basis for student expectations. The learning process involves guidance and instruction throughout development. As a Christian, your values and beliefs should guide the conduct you wish to portray, whether a student or a faculty, thus proving that interpersonal communication and professional communication are key factors to misconduct. What a fantastic way to remind us of being not just nurse educators, but Christian nurse educators, that we are really accountable to check our behaviors and to be highly self-aware of the role modeling we're doing and the behavior and the thoughts that we project to our students. What a great way to frame those concepts. So, great job, guys. Thoroughly enjoyed reading your work, although it's almost 10 o'clock and I'm really tired. So, I'm going to wrap up briefly. Wanted to remind you that your teaching plan next week is due. It's your first one. No matter how much your little brain wants to, it's not a formal paper. There's a worksheet. Please use the worksheet. The worksheet is there to keep you out of trouble. I want to remind you that the idea behind this is for you to craft a lesson plan that you can actually use in a meaningful way. As you get to be more of an expert in teaching, you won't need to do all the pieces and parts that I'm asking of you. But right now, I want to give you the framework that becomes useful. So as you work through, use the guide that's provided, use the worksheet that's provided. Think about what concepts you can teach in about 15 or 20 minutes. No more than that. We know that the traditional learner stops listening in about 15 or 20 minutes. I also think that's the human experience. I start doing my grocery list and getting very distracted after about 20 minutes myself. So let's do really good teaching for about 15 to 20 minutes in a classroom setting, and then we can talk later about how we'll apply active teaching strategies to go along with lecture, but you really don't want to do more than that. So if you have questions or concerns, touch base. Let me know how you are. Correct any problems with your Typhon log as quickly as possible, and let me know if there's any concerns before you move forward in the next piece with your next Typhon log. I think that is all my notes for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving, that it's full of blessings and family and good food. I'm looking forward to having my kids home. They're coming from South Carolina, so I'm going to be a busy bee on Thanksgiving. So if my responses are delayed, it's just because I'm being a mom. I hope wherever you are that you're happy and that you're having a moment to really be thankful for all the many things that we all have to be thankful for. We have a tradition in our family of going around the table before we eat saying what we're thankful for. Please know that when I say my thankfulness this week, you will be in the list. Y'all take care.